Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Let's get right into it super quickly. I know we've got 30 minutes until noon kickoff. If anybody drops in, make sure you drop a like, subscribe. Just want to take care of some last orders of business before this whole thing gets started. Before we get started with week 6 officially, after whatever that Thursday night football game was with Chicago and Washington. One segment of news I want to go over super quickly. Something I think is super important. It's an optimal matchup, and it's something I want all of you to take advantage of if you were a little reluctant because of the fact that he was questionable before. He's in now. Raheem Mostert is in. He's going up against a very, very, very weak Minnesota Vikings rush defense. I'm talking bottom 10 in the league when it comes to fantasy running backs allowed, fantasy running back points allowed. So please make sure you take advantage of that. Mostert has been lighting the world on fire, nearly had 10 yards of carry in his last game. So I think he's really been gaining a lot of momentum as of late. And after that, honestly, it's going to be an open seminar to anybody who has questions, anybody who hops in the stream. I'd greatly appreciate any of your questions at all. More than happy to help any of you. Some other guys I definitely want to just talk about in general before I get any questions here. Delvin Cook, Miami can't stop the run effort either at all. Also bottom 10 in the league when it comes to allowing rushing yards and points overall to fantasy running backs. And then Eno Benjamin, he played the worst rush defense fantasy-wise in the league, or he will here in week 6. So those are just guys I want you to take advantage of. I think Adam Thielen, obviously Justin Jefferson will thrive as well in that Miami matchup. I expect to see a really high-scoring affair when it comes to that Miami matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. So now, if you pop in at all and you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm kind of just here. I'll be looking at different matchups that I kind of like. I'll pop up a window in a moment, do some research on that. Let's get right into it. Sunday morning. Probably lots of adrenaline going for fantasy owners at the moment. We'll pop up a window here. Start doing some last second studying for anybody who's just hopping on YouTube going, oh my goodness, I don't know who to start. Christian Kirk has been a big topic of conversation. You know, he's going against the number 1 defense in the league against fantasy wide receivers. So not allowing a whole lot of points. And that's standard PPR format. It might change in half-point PPR, but either way, they've been really solid. They have struggled against Jacksonville the last couple of matchups, though. They've lost. Got 24-0'd in week 1. So I'm going to pop up a window here in a second for you guys. Let's see. Been getting a lot of support on the shorts, start 2, sit 1 series, on the live in general. So really appreciate a lot of you, especially as of late, just helping this channel gain a lot of traction. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. We're super consistent with content. You're going to get about 1 to 2 shorts a day on the sports world in general. Starting to shift towards basketball as well. Give that some attention. They start in about 2 days. So just going there. So any questions you have at all, and we'll get going on those. Otherwise, should be exciting. Some more football today. I think there's going to be some really high-scoring games. That Eagles-Cowboys matchup, I mean, they're both tough on defense, but those offenses have been pretty solid, especially the Eagles. I mean, if they come out and just hit the Cowboys in the mouth right away, I'd expect to see some points scored for sure. Chiefs-Bills is always interesting. You see that matchup in the playoffs seemingly every year. We'll go here. Someone I'd want to focus on a little bit look him up. So Jonathan Taylor and Hines are out. And a lot of people are going, oh, you know, maybe the third guy gets in. Maybe he does. I have him in one of my leagues. But Alec Pierce has been taking advantage of an increased amount of targets over the course of the last couple of weeks. You know, he got 3 for 61. As a result, he got 4 next week, then got 8. We're just talking receptions here. Targets, he went from 5 to 6 to 9. So he's been doing great. He's going up against a Jacksonville team that's bend but don't break on defense. They're not phenomenal, but Doug Peterson's got a squad over there that's definitely trying to win some more games this year. They don't want to be the number 1 pick for the 3rd week in a row. So I kind of like Alec Pierce here. I know people always keep going down the running back depth chart, and we talk about how the Colts are just built on their offensive line, and that's what they do. But hey, nonetheless, I really think... Oh, I just took off that window. I really think that this guy, especially somebody who's, you know, been getting more targets as of late, and people are starting to take notice. 7.5% starting. Look at how many people have rostered him over the course of the last couple of weeks. I think that's somebody to take advantage of. First question here. All right, Duolingo 500. Ingram, Schultz, or Disley? Looking at the tight end position. Ingram, Schultz, or Disley. So I know it's Jacksonville against Indiana, and then it's going to be the Cowboys against the Eagles. I'll switch back here for a second. Thanks for the question, man. We got 25 minutes to kick off. Make sure you like this video, this live stream, man, and subscribe. I'm going to do everything I can to get you the most thorough answer possible. Off the jump, I like what Ingram has done as of late. And I know I just talked about how stout Indiana's defense is against just the pass in general and wide receivers. But actually, they've allowed a decent amount of points to tight ends relative to what they've done to wide receivers. I'm just going to run a quick search. Dalton Schultz, I mean, as more and more people get healthy, I know CeeDee Lamb is questionable right now. It looks like he's going to go for the most part, and people are nervous about that because it's a primetime matchup, and you've got to make your decision soon. Get you a question in 2 minutes here. Okay. Here's what I'm looking at, man. There's Disley. So going up against an Arizona team that has allowed 21.68 to tight ends. This is an average per game. Schultz and that Eagles defense, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, even with PPR. This is to everyone, so not just, you know, the top tight end, so. Let's see. Who's the other one? Ingram. Ingram against, okay. Yeah. I mean, these two are really far down. I am low on Will Disley for the most part. I would say definitely no to Schultz right now just because Gallup's back and CD's going to hog a lot of those. And they're really more of a run-heavy offense with Cooper Rush back there until Dak Prescott gets back. I just don't want to go with Will Disley because he hasn't been getting a whole lot of targets as of late. He had a couple nice weeks, but he was really getting bailed out by, honestly, just touchdowns. He had 3 early on. I'm liking Evan Ingram. I'm not going to lie to you. I know it's lower in points per game, but he's been getting his targets. Hit 10 targets last game against Houston. They scored just 6 points that whole game. That's what I'm looking at right now. Mainly focusing on targets here. I know he's been getting more snaps as of late. Zay Jones is questionable, so that's another option out. Yeah. Duolingo 500. Let's go with Evan Ingram. Dalton Schultz has a really tough matchup tonight. There's another option back in Michael Gallup the last couple of weeks. Run-heavy offense, at least relative to what this team is known for when Dak Prescott's back there. Will Disley's usage just has not been up a whole lot, and I think you've got too many weapons when you talk about Metcalf and when you talk about Lockett. Higgins or Pickens? Pickens has been a huge, huge topic of conversation lately because I know, He's an attractive one when you look at just highlights, but fantasy-wise, how much are we talking usage? Thank you for commenting. Make sure you guys like and subscribe here for more content like this. Doing a couple live streams a week. I wanted to squeeze one in last minute just to answer all of your fantasy questions. Hurst or Schultz as well. I'm going to check Hurst's health status, but... All right, so we'll get to you next. Dylan, I appreciate it. That's a clever name. 23. I see the Yankees logo. My condolences, man. That's a gritty Cleveland team. I did not expect that, but they'll be back. They've got plenty of pieces. Judge still had a magical year. Won't take anything away from that. Okay. Just going through your players here real quick. Give you a full rundown in a moment. Just putting all the pages up. Usually I got more prepared, but this is just an open seminar, so I'm taking your questions as they come and doing everything I can to get you the information you need. Steelers have been struggling, man. Okay. Start with that first one. Higgins or Pickens? So for Higgins and Pickens, Freiermuth's going to be out today. So there's your tight end that's been getting used a decent amount. So you've got, give you the information you need here. Deontay Johnson, getting about 50. Okay, so through 5 weeks, exactly 10. Chase Claypool at 29, Pickens at 29. And his target usage has been going up as of late. So that's why I said, you know, he's a bigger topic of conversation because he had the highlight catches at first. Catch percentage is actually better than Claypool. Claypool's been selling. Not a very attractive fantasy target at all. So there's Pickens. Do the same thing with Higgins here. No targets last game. A lot of people were really upset with that. The catch rate's high. So I don't hate that start. It's running backs. We don't need that. Everybody's healthy, as you can see. Hayden Hurst was questionable before a couple of days ago. He's a go. I think Higgins gets maybe a little redemption here. Look, they lost and they didn't use him. It was a nail biter against Baltimore last week. They go up against the Saints. The Saints have a tough pass defense. So do the Bucs, and Kenny Pickett's still trying to settle in, but it looks like he likes George Pickens. So from a usage standpoint, I think I'm actually going to go Pickens. I feel like that's a lower floor for you, but it's very close, I will say that. But lower floor play, I would say, is Pickens. Higher ceiling, you're probably going to go with Higgins because he could get a couple big plays and go off. That's what I would go with. Both facing really tough pass defenses this week in the Buccaneers and the Saints. So, yeah, I say we go with that. Hayden Hurst or Dalton Schultz. Now, that's a different story with tight ends. You're not really talking about the coverage corners or the safeties. It's typically, in most conventional defensive schemes, going to be a linebacker matchup or Dalton Schultz. Talked about him before. The tight end question so far. Alrighty. Dalton Schultz. Show you guys what I was talking about not too long ago. I liked Dalton Schultz coming into this year. I really did. Bottom line is he's played in 4 games and he has been cycled out. So this is going to be a pretty concrete answer for me. That's all you really need to know. Okay. Catch rate wasn't that bad. 9 out of 13. But last 2 weeks under Cooper Rush, he has been phased out. When you see Dak Prescott come back, I think he gets more usage, so don't drop him from your lineup. I think he's one to hold on to, especially if, you know, Gallup goes back out. He's coming off a big injury. CD's questionable today. He'll probably play. But I really don't like Dalton Schultz. And if we go back here, Hayden Hurst, even though he does have kind of a tough matchup today against the Saints, they're not unstoppable against tight ends. He's getting way more usage than Dalton Schultz, who in the last 2 weeks, 3 targets, 1 target. Okay, the last 2 weeks for Hayden Hurst, it's 4 targets, 7 targets. It's not optimal, but between those two, you're going to get, I think, a better chance to get some points. Again, lower floor, maybe even higher ceiling, because he does get usage. Gets just as much usage as T. Higgins. And same amount of receptions. He's not getting nearly the yards because he's a tight end, so he's not breaking free for those big plays. He's got a pair of touchdowns. Definitely, I would say Hayden Hurst over Dalton Schultz, man. Thank you for the comment. Thanks for the question. Hope I was able to help out there. Yeah, tight ends, it's definitely tough, right? You've got your Mark Andrews. You've got your Travis Kelce. I'd say George Kittle, but he's kind of been down this year. You've got your Tyler Higbee, your Dallas Goedert. But from a pure usage standpoint, I really do like Hayden Hurst. I think that, I said he's a short-term ad. Not a lot of people have him right now in fantasy leagues. But nonetheless, I would go with that. Need some help. Trey S., thank you so much. Make sure you drop a like on the stream, my man. I'm going to answer this for you. Full PPR, start 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. So picking 2 out of the 4. Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Boyd, Devin Singletary, or Zeke. Okay. Let's run a new search here. Right off the bat, I do like Singletary against that Chiefs defense. I know the offense is great. I know. They're 4-1. It's going to be a fun matchup. Only reason that thing isn't prime time, I think, is because the Eagles and Cowboys are taking over, and that's still a pretty good matchup, so no need to flex it out. So I do like Singletary right off the bat. Beyond that, between Jeudy, Boyd, and Zeke, let's do a little research. Did you say full PPR? Okay, thank you. Let's see what we've got to run with. It's Broncos Chargers on Monday night, so yeah, I'm sure you need this answer pretty quick. Well, okay. And then you've got Zeke playing at 7:20 tonight. Singletary playing at 3:25. Okay, maybe we got a little time. But we'll answer this for you real quick. I'm not going to wait till 12 to get you the answer, obviously. Because the Bengals do play at 12. So now hear me out here. The Eagles have done a lot of things great. And Pollard is getting some targets, but I do want you to maybe at least consider Zeke. Eagles are allowing 5.0 yards per carry. That's bottom 8 in the league. For a team that's undefeated and seems to do nearly everything right, that is a hole that they have in their game. So I'm going Singletary for you, Trey. I think I like that play a lot. He's been getting good usage, gets a couple balls in the pass game here. Still a running back by committee, right? But like that. The Chargers secondary has not been as good as advertised. Here's what we'll do. Run one more search here. Maybe I'll take 1 or 2 questions after the bell, once we hit 12 o'clock. Otherwise, I think this is where we'll go. Okay, so we're thinking between Zeke, Jeudy, and Boyd. Boyd's usage, I'll tell you right now. We could switch to this real quick. Not the highest, so I'm not crazy on Boyd entirely. This is kind of my reasoning before when I was talking about Higgins or Pickens. It's not just a usage standpoint that I want to focus on, but I also want to just talk about the fact they're going up against a Saints secondary that's pretty solid. Got sliced and diced by Geno not too long ago, so there's definitely some holes in there. And when healthy, this wide receiving core is great, but I think there's a lot to spread here. I mean, you've got Jamar Chase, you've got T. Higgins, you've got Tyler Boyd, and now you got the fourth guy. You got Hayden Hurst. It's actually second in targets right now. So not crazy on Boyd. So I'm going to look between Jeudy and Zeke. So between Jeudy and Zeke. Judy's going up against the Chargers. Who, sorry, I should probably point that out, huh? Are all the way down here. Bottom 10. Just outside the bottom 10. It's bottom 15. Then Ezekiel Elliott. One thing I want to look at here. Braden, I see you. No problem, Trey. I'm just going to look at Zeke for you real quick. But I would say I'm between Zeke and Judy at the moment. Boyd's got low usage, and he goes up against a pretty good secondary this week. So that's kind of what scares me with that matchup. He could go off. You know Joe Burrow. You know how he likes to spread the ball around to his wide receivers. Any of those guys could be a wide receiver one any week on their team. So just 1 second for me, man. Appreciate all the interaction. Doing everything I can to answer these questions for you guys. I'll never tell you what to do. You know, we all lose control once 12 o'clock starts because we don't really control what happens on the field. But firm believer that in-depth research really gives us the best chance to win here. Okay, sorry, Trey. One moment. There's what I'm looking for. So a lot of people are saying, you know, Tony Pollard's getting a lot of targets, or sorry, touches in general. While that may be true, Zeke's getting his too. 21 and 22. Not very involved in the pass game. That's more of Pollard's thing, but in general, it's more ground and pound. They are more invested in Zeke, like financially, and I think clipboard-wise as well. So I think he'll get his usage. And Zeke also goes up against... Oh, here we go in a second. Zeke also goes up against that Philadelphia defense that I do know, as I just pulled up before, allows 5.0 yards per carry. Boyd's hit or miss because Russ has been focused so heavily on Cortland Sutton. We'll see if he can spread the ball out a little bit more, but then you'd have to wait all the way till Monday night. I'm thinking Singletary and Zeke. Ironically enough, I know it's full PPR. Neither of those guys are heavily involved in the passing game like an Alvin Kamara or a CMC. I like those. You really can't go wrong if you want to go for the other ones or if you want to try Judy. But Singletary and Zeke jump off the page just from a usage and matchup standpoint as well. The Chiefs, not the best defense. And then the Eagles, not the best rush defense, despite being 5-0. So thank you, Trey. One has to be a wide receiver. Okay. Yeah, Judy and Singletary. That's who you had to begin with. Yeah. So in this case, trust your gut, right? That Los Angeles Chargers secondary with all the talent they have. You know, we talked Derwin James. We talked J.C. Jackson. Linebacking core, we talk about how they just acquired Khalil Mack. They have not been able to stop the pass. It's been more of the same issues. Might be a coaching issue. Look at the defensive coordinators, some of the guys in the front office. Might have to make some decisions there because they invested in a lot of talent, and they're still allowing a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns through the air. So no problem, Trey. Braden, Higgins, London, Waddle, start 2. Not in love with Higgins. Also not in love with London or anybody who's catching balls from Marcus Mariota right now. Waddle, hold off. Yeah, okay, actually, there's your answer. Jalen Waddle has not been getting any usage, and Tua Tagovailoa is not back yet. I kind of looked at this earlier. If you look at what Jalen Waddle's had in terms of just pure usage. Typing rapidly for you guys. There we go. Raheem Mostert, though, while we're talking about the Dolphins, if he's on your waiver wire, he is starting and he is facing the Minnesota Vikings run defense, excuse me. So go with him. 4.6 yards a carry. Very attractive matchup. Since Tua has been out, not in love with what I've seen from Waddle. Targets right here, 6.53. I just don't like that in general. I think you'll get a lot more out of Higgins, even though they're playing a tough pass defense today. Drake London is the pure number one. Kyle Pitts has been straight ignored as of late. Not too much going on outside of it. They're not too committed to the run. We know the Falcons, they operate from behind a lot. So even though they scraped across a couple wins so far, I really do think your answer there is probably going to be those first two just because Waddle hasn't been getting used. That is, in my opinion, the low-risk play. So, Braden, that's what I'd go with. No problem, Trey. Edward Zhang, appreciate you dropping the question in here. Godwin versus Steelers or Sutton versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Just talked about that. Full PPR. Steelers have, they just got cut up by the Buffalo Bills, as most defenses do. Sutton has been a top 10 wide receiver. Both in general, I think he's been a fringe top 10 wide receiver, just carrying that offense without him. The Broncos are by far the worst offense in the league. And there's still some people making a case that they are. I would put the Bears up there, and even, honestly, the Rams as well. Sutton versus the Los Angeles Chargers. That's a very attractive play because Russell Wilson has been so reliant on Courtland Sutton. Russ is the new guy in town, and he's been relying on that number one option for success. So let's look real quick. Appreciate all of you stopping in. Hope I'm helping out a ton, trying to get through the questions as quick as possible. You guys are great. I'm already starting Lenny and Mike. Jeez. Okay. I think Mike Evans has a great week. I'll start with that because the Steelers' pass defense just has not been too solid in general. My worry with that is Godwin's coming off an injury. How involved is he going to get? There's been a more committed role when it comes to Leonard Fournette. Here's what we're dealing with Sutton. Like I said, lots of targets. By far getting more than anybody else. Nearly double Jerry Jeudy right now, and his catch rate's better than most as well on the team. 63%, not great. But again, when you see a wide receiver and quarterback just starting to establish a relationship, new quarterback comes to town, new wide receiver comes to town, catch rate's not going to be too high unless they're like college teammates or something. So then we're going to look at Godwin super quick. But I think I got my answer for you. If I remember correctly. Yeah. Godwin hasn't been in the end zone yet. Targets aren't as high. Go with the definitive number one in Courtland Sutton against a weak Chargers defense. I think I like that. I know you're going to have to sweat it out, wait for that primetime game, but I like that. I like that matchup a lot, Edward. I need a running back 2, a wide receiver 2, and a flex. My options are Ken Walker. Benjamin. There's one right there. Benjamin is going against the worst rushing defense. The Seattle Seahawks allow the most fantasy points to running backs if we're talking full PPR right now. Yep, you have PPR in the league. So, Benjamin, I'm going to tell you right now, Super CNB challengers, go with Eno. Okay, so there's your running back 2. A wide receiver 2 and a flex. We're going to choose from Kenneth Walker III, Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman, Mike Williams. Christian Kirk is going up against the Indianapolis Colts, who allow the least amount of points to fantasy wide receivers. So I've been very reluctant with Kirk. You've got Michael Pittman on the other side of that matchup. He's the definitive number one, although Alec Pierce has been getting more usage. Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's out again. Keenan Allen is out again, but that pass defense has been pretty solid. I know they allow the third least amount of points to quarterbacks. So the Broncos, while they are 2-3 and catching a lot of flack, their defense has always been something they've stood by. So not too crazy on Mike Williams, while he will be the definitive number one. I'm going to look at his usage super quick. Drop a like in the stream, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Doing everything I can to do some thorough research for you. Happy week 6. Happy Sunday morning. About to be Sunday afternoon in 5 minutes. So squeeze play real quick. I know you got to get this done. So definitely, looking at the usage of Mike Williams, because I might change my mind. Yeah, 11 targets, 13 targets, over 100 yards each time. Didn't even have to score. With Keenan Allen out once again, I like the Mike Williams play for this reason right here. 11, 13, 10. When Keenan Allen comes back, probably a different story. Not crazy on Kirk because he's going against the number one defense in the league against fantasy wide receivers. Pittman, I think that team in general just starts to lean into the run more. I know Jonathan Taylor hasn't had a dream start. He set the bar pretty high in his first 2 years, to be fair. Just averaging 4 yards a carry right now. So he's human. I like Eno, and can't really go wrong with Mike Williams in terms of his usage, and then you need a third. You need a flex. Go Ken Walker. I like that matchup on both sides, honestly. The Cardinals have not been doing amazing at stopping the run either. Ken Walker was getting a lot of usage for a reserve running back even before Rashad Penny went out, and now he's really going to get involved. It's a bit of a risk, but I like Eno. I like Williams. You could go with Pittman. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so out of those, you needed 3. The one I would avoid is Christian Kirk. Maybe he has a good week. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But anytime you have somebody who's going up against the number one pass defense against fantasy wide receivers in the league, I'm going to be a little hesitant. So I'd steer away from Kirk there. Yep. Wrapping this up in a couple minutes, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the stream. I do some start 2, sit 1. segments on my YouTube Shorts, also on this channel, just to try and give everyone some quick, informative content. It's 60 seconds. It's 20 seconds dedicated to each player. I do a little full dive analysis on each one as to why I think you should start or sit them. I try to do some pretty common players. I'm not going to tell you to start Justin Jefferson or start Mark Andrews. I mean, those are pretty much givens. You probably gave up your first, second, or third rounder for those guys. So it should be something that you don't really have to think a whole lot about. You just want to start him right away. Yeah, it's just the last time Kirk played the Colts this season. He had that 2-touchdown, 25 point so game. I know they have really shored up on the defense, so they had some injuries towards the beginning. If you want to go with Kirk, man, I think if we want to just put Kirk in play, the one I am sure about, and I think a lot of people are sure about right now, is Eno Benjamin. If you want to include Kirk in that pool, maybe you go Eno, Kirk, and Walker, or Eno, Kirk, and Williams. Pittman's been losing some targets to Alec Pierce, and I do think they go more run-heavy here as they've started to. JT should be healthy again pretty soon, but this week he isn't. So, yeah, that's tough. AFC South is really weak, too. So you got to understand they're just going to beat up on each other. Yeah, but no, the Jaguars really started out hot, and Kirk's usage has been down as of late, so 2 reasons I wasn't too high on him. The low usage and productivity on the defensive end by the Colts, even though they haven't been very good. Somehow they're 2-2-1, and the defense is most likely why. And they also just played the Broncos, so that's another reason why. But yeah, I appreciate the question there. We are at 11:59. I'm going to let you all enjoy Week 6. The rest of it. We had that horrible Thursday night football game for the second week in a row, so hopefully we can recover from that and see some nice games. We've got Chiefs-Bills. We've got Eagles-Cowboys in prime time. We've got Broncos and Chargers, I think actually has the potential to be a pretty high-scoring matchup since the Chargers defense hasn't been good. So I like the Sutton play, as I mentioned before. Great teams, all of you. The options you're explaining to me. Eno Benjamin was a really smart pickup this week, I think, and we're about to see it. But I hope you all have a great week. I hope you support the channel. I hope you enjoy the information I'm providing. We'll do some basketball soon. We'll start talking about playoffs in baseball. Just trying to heavily invest in fantasy football. It's where a lot of people put their money, a lot of their attention, just trying to help you all out as much as possible. So I'm Corey Sparks of Armchair Athletes. Enjoy your Week 6 Sunday football slate that's going to be going on from now until probably about 10 p.m. after the primetime game tonight between the 2 NFC East leaders. So, or 1 and 2 when you're talking about the Eagles and the Cowboys. But enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck to all of you and your fantasy teams, and we will see you later.